What's good, YouTube? Casey the Quiet Warrior here. Before we get into today's video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do all those good things so you can help share a guy's channel. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Now, what I want to talk about today and what the title of today's video should say is what to do if a female texts dry. Now, with this channel, this has, to do and resolve around self-improvement. Now, this topic that I'm talking about does pertain and has something to do with self-improvement, but this would be more towards the red pill movement that's been going on, and the whole mental spirit thing that's been going on with, YouTube right now, that's popularized. With that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Now, I got 4 things that I got written down. So if you see me looking down, just know, this video is bullet pointed and scripted down, so I'm going to be looking down at my notes. Now, like I said, I got 4 things that I want to talk about real quick on just what you should do to, counteract this problem and be able to move past this and figure out what you can do to improve from this situation. Now, with that being said, sorry to make that a little long-winded. Now we gonna get straight into it. Number 1, stop waiting around, bro. Stop waiting around, my nigga. What is you doing? Stop waiting around. Waiting around isn't gonna get you anywhere. And what I mean by this is when it comes to the time aspect about it, you're wasting time and you could be doing better things. Now, I don't know if any of you guys may have heard of this, but, on YouTube before, just in general, when it comes to texting rules, it's a certain rule out there that you at least want to wait like 10 to 20 minutes to respond back to a female's text. So it shows that you're busy, you're doing something, you're preoccupied, and, you have more important things going on. But you shouldn't just be doing that to bridge that gap of time. Instead of waiting around and being, so anxious and needy to get the response back from the female, actually be doing things to improve your life. Do self-improvement practices. So therefore, when you are actually, taking 10, 20, 30 minutes to respond back, that time is actually being used well to actually do something in order to improve yourself as a being and as a man. And another thing that I wrote down with this is to get out of the scarcity mindset. You see, because when you are not used to having, females text you, or when you are not just used to having female, interaction in general, you have a scarcity mindset. And this could just be, in fear of rejection and fear of loss in general, anything that pertains to that. When you have a scarcity mindset when it comes to texting females, you're always going to be there. You're always, you're always going to be, on your heels, on the edge, heart pumping, chest pounding, anxiety. You're always going to be anxious. You're always going to be quick to respond on your heels because you feel like that's the only chance that you may get to talk to her. That's the only chance that you may get to talk to this female. That's the only chance that you may get to get a response out of a female. But you got to understand, when it comes to meeting females and being able to have a good mindset when it comes to, just fear and rejection pertaining to this in general, you have to have an abundance mindset and know that, even if, this conversation that you may be having with this female, even if it may not be working out in the best light as you may thought it would, just know that there's plenty of other females that you could talk to. And, if she's not interested, then that's her loss then. You know what I mean? Like I said with the previous, little bullet point that had to do with the first tip, you should be focusing on yourself anyways. You shouldn't even be worrying about whether or not if you're going to get that response back, that text back, that FaceTime back, that iMessage back. You should not need to be worrying about that. You should be putting yourself first anyways, and then you wouldn't have to worry about things like that. So that's another one right there. And the third one that I have, little subgenre for tip one is don't put one foot in and one foot out. And what I mean by this is trying to play her game. Don't try to play the game of texting, especially when it comes to a female that is, texting you dry. And what I mean by this is don't try to give her that same energy that you are giving her, because it's not going to work and it won't lead to anything. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to end up being frustrated because you thought that if you sat back and tried to play the game the same way that she's doing it, that you would be able to bring in more interest. You will be able to bring in, more stuff to know about you. You know what I mean? More interest, basically. But that's not going to happen because, in the first place, she wasn't even interested. So just by you doing that, that's only you just playing into her game even more and helping her get, the advantage, helping her get the goal that she set out to get in the first place. And that's something I'm going to talk about in the next one coming up. But yeah, just doing that, trying to play her game. If she's texting you, LOL, what you doing, WYD, WYA, all those type of one-liner, one answer, one word answer responses. If you try to do that, that's not gonna, go anywhere, because you're just gonna end up playing right into her trap, right into her hands anyways. So that's the last one for the first tip. The second one is the only reason she's texting you is to get validation. All right. And this is another one that has to go with this too, is what I mean by this, is that she's just texting you. No, if she texts you first, that doesn't mean that she likes you. And that coincides with, that she's just texting you to get validation. Just because, say, you're on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Yubo, any type of apps like that, just because you may get a response first from a female doesn't mean that she actually has interest, and doesn't mean that she's actually out to choose you. She could just be using that to boost her ego, boost her confidence, give her validation in order to, have reassurance in herself. And you may be thinking the whole time that she may have interest in you, but really she's just doing that to stroke her ego and put her up, on a higher pedestal in general. You know what I mean? And like I said when I was talking about all the little subgenres in tip one, when you do this, you're going to feed into her game. You're going to feed into her texting game, and she's going to have no respect for you. Because if you are steadily always open and always willing to text her, when you know good and well that her text is dry and is boring you out, she's not going to have respect for you, because she know that it's just going to be easy for you to get, for her to get a response from you. It's going to be easy for her to get a response from you. It's going to be easy for you to always be available to text her, to always be available to have a conversation with her. You know what I mean? And when she sees that, it's just going to boost her ego up, because that's all she knows. She has that in the back of her head the whole time, when you are, steadily responding, steadily texting back, especially double texting, trying to pull that interest, pull that interest into you when she doesn't have that, in general in the first place. So that's tip number 2. And tip number 3 is don't put her on a pedestal. Now you may be saying, didn't you just explain that in tip 2? Like, it sounds redundant. Hear me out. I know that it does, but I have little subgenre tips to differentiate the two, between them. And what I mean by this is responding quick, always available, getting excited and being there for her, in whatever situation or, thing that she's going through in life. You know what I mean? And like I said, I know those two sound the same, but what I'm meaning by this is when you are just starting to initiate the conversation, whether it's her or you started it. And what I'm meaning by this is you could tell when somebody is overly eager in texting and, are very excited or maybe not used to always receiving text from female or from the opposite sex, because they would do things like this in order to to get interest. And this is how you exactly start the initiating process of, how they could start to text you dry and how you put her on a pedestal in general. Because when you are doing things like this, like I said, it's automatically just going to play into her game. And I know I'm trying not to make this sound redundant, but hear me out. When you are doing things like this, you're putting her on a pedestal. And, when you are starting, like I said, starting to initiate that initial text, that initial conversation in general, she's already going to know, what to do, how to play the game, not to give you interest and in your texting and in your guys' conversation, because you are automatically putting her all the way up on this high horse pedestal. Now that's tip number 3. And the final tip, and the best for last, she don't want you, bro. She does not want you. She does not want you at all. All right? She does not want you at all. That is the best, the most simplest, the most easiest way to explain it to you. She does not want you. If you are getting LOL, one word, short responses, stuff like that, that should automatically click in your subconscious, in your brain, to let you know that she is not interested. Because if she was, she would be giving you more thorough answers, more thorough, conversations, more thorough ways of speaking to you. You know what I mean? Just off of that, you know what I mean? To differentiate the two. It's that simple. That one right there. And the thing that you need to do to stop this from even transpiring or to keep it going on is to just stop texting her, bro. Stop texting her. Stop wasting your time. Actually do things to benefit your time. Actually do things to improve yourself as a being, as a man, as a person, And that's what I, said in the beginning of this video, from the start, When you are waiting those 10 to 20, 30 minutes, to respond back to her text, to bridge the gap in between your response time, you shouldn't just be lying around, just doing nothing. That's when you should be really putting the grind in, doing what you need to do to improve. That's all I gotta say. Let me know some things that you feel personally that you could do to stop this from happening. Let me know some things that, maybe I could have touched on better. Some things that I may have left out that you wanted to hear. And just let me know what you felt about the video in general. But with that being said, it's Casey the Quiet Warrior. Peace.